All right, this is our beginner yoga session. So we're going to start out in a cross-legged position, and that can be tricky for some people. So we want to keep an eye on knees, all right? The main thing is we're going to do a little bit of breath work to start out. So any position that you can be in comfortably is where we want to be to start getting some of that breathing in. So if it's in your wheelhouse, the cross-legged, bringing one in, and then tucking the other over the top, the half lotus. So if you're able to be here. Now, a lot of times what people need is some kind of a bolster, something to bring the hips up a little bit, and that's where your yoga block can come in handy. So on the yoga block, now it's much easier to get that tucked in and keep myself in a good position with the low back. So you don't want to be in such an aggressive position that you're rounded forward. That is not going to help us with our diaphragmatic breathing. Now, if you find that just sitting with your legs crossed here allows you to be in good posture and still put the yoga block under, again, we need you in a comfortable position so that we can go through a little bit of breath work and kind of get the body set to move into the rest of the session. So we're going to start with 5 breaths. We're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth, hands on your legs, your knees, nice and tall. And if you want, feel free to close your eyes. This is just kind of a good time to connect with yourself. Obviously tricky as we go through it because you have to watch me, but think about kind of checking in with your body as you go through all of this and just be very intentional with each one of your movements. So breath work, think of a pitcher of water. What we're doing is pouring water into this glass pitcher and we're watching that water rise from the bottom. That's the same thing I want you doing here. We're going to take oxygen in and we want it to rise from the bottom so the belly expands first and then the chest. So 5 deep breaths. And you don't have to force any exhales or anything right now, just nice and easy. And you would do 5 breaths. So as we go through these, I'm not going to stay in the position for the entire length of time. I'm going to tell you how long that should be. And then that way you can go through and we don't have such a long video because I'm going to need to do some explaining with some of the other things. All right, we have our 5 deep breaths in. So now we're going to go into a cat-cow. So this is your tabletop position or all fours. I want you to spread your fingers nice and wide. Get those toes under. And then we're going to go inhale on the way up and then exhale on the way down. And what you're going to do is as you come down, the tendency will be to drive everything through the low back because on average people are tight in the thoracic spine. So what I want you to do is come back to neutral and then work on moving between the shoulder blades, then bringing your chin up and then back to your inhale. So you would just go nice and easy and you would do maybe 30 seconds to a minute's worth of these cat-cows. Remember, never move quickly, nice and gently through it. Connect with your body, see what's going on that day. All right, from your cat-cow, we're going to go into a down dog. So your same tabletop position. We've got those fingers spread out. We've got the toes curled under. And then we're simply going to go extend the knees and then work to drive the hips back and sink your chest. So your heels may need to be up and that's fine. You need to go a little further forward with your hands, that's fine. What we're trying to do is lower the chest and then come back out of it to your tabletop. Rest for just a second, curl the toes under, and then we're going to come back up and head right back into our downward dog. So you would keep rotating between those 2 positions for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. Now with the low lunge, from your downward facing dog position, we're going to bring a foot up to the outside of your hand. From here, really extend that back knee, keep it straight, and then gently work to sink your hips down towards the floor. Then return that left foot, bring the right foot forward, extend your knee, and really work just to sink that hip down nicely. So you could do a couple of rotations and come out of it. You're going to spend ballpark 30 to 60 seconds total doing this. So simply going back and forth would be a long window. So just go, and then come out of it for a second and then go back into it. So you're just looking at total time, 30 to 60 seconds for that. All right, we're going to go into a warrior 2. So standing in our transition from our low lunges, we would either walk up, or you can hop up. And then we're just gonna go ahead and put ourselves into a warrior two position. So warrior two, front foot is gonna be forward, back foot's turned out at about 35 to 45 degrees. We're now gonna shift forward into that leg, keeping your knee angled going towards the middle of your foot or your little toe, not to the inside. I'll give you a different view in a second. And then from here, arms are gonna be straight out. We always wanna get those hands extended, get those fingers nice and open. Keep your belly tucked in. So what I don't want is a bunch of arching through your low back. So pull the pelvis in, hold that. If that means you can't go as far down, you just can't go as far down. So from here, and I want your view, your gaze, your drishti to be right out over your fingertips, and then sink down. We're gonna hold for a 5 to 10 count, then come out of it. And then we're gonna go ahead and turn the other way. So square foot in front, about a 35 to 45 on the back. We're gonna shift, targeting that knee to the middle or outside part of your foot. Arms straight out, fingers nice and wide. Spread them out, and then keep the pelvis aligned, and then work to sink in. And then come back out of that. So what you're gonna do is a couple of times each side, ballpark, you don't need to spend more than about a minute going back and forth between these. So the front view, the knee component I was talking about, this is where people frequently go. In the low back I was talking about, this is where people frequently go. So we're gonna tuck that pelvis under, we're gonna align your knee, get those fingers spread out, then sink in and hold your position. I would rather you work on a perfect position and just allow your body over time to adapt to that rather than trying to get into the idea of a perfect position. All right, you've done a minute's worth going back and forth on your warrior two. So now we're just gonna go with the basic forward fold. So from here, you're gonna drive the hips, so with your arms up, drive your hips back as far as you can. So what we don't wanna do is just immediately fold through the spine right now. Drive that back, get as much as you can. Once you get caught, by all means, we're gonna go into this forward fold and just relax. You can shake your head out a little bit. Kind of ragdoll it, grab the elbows. And then to come back up, we're gonna lift the chest and then find that neutral spine posture and then come back up to tall. So drive it back, then fold over and just nice and relaxed. Hang out here for 10 seconds or so, come back to good spine posture and then hinge your way up. So you can spend about 30 seconds or so working in that forward fold. Now we're gonna go down and use basically the same movement, but from a seated position. So with the feet out, starting nice and tall, we're gonna hinge from the hips. And then once we have as much as we can get, then we're gonna go ahead and allow ourselves to fold and try to get to the toes. Now maybe you're at the shins. So this is where your yoga strap could come in handy. Loop it around the legs. And it's not that I want you to grab and pull yourself into it, but just gently apply a little pressure or at least extend the ability to grab onto something if you're not able to get down here around your toes. And then we're gonna come out and just a little bit of a chest arch, back arch technically, and then come back and hinge and then fold into position again. So you're gonna spend about 30 to 60 seconds there. All right, this is where I'm gonna throw in a little bit of a different twist from kind of the traditional way of doing it in yoga. So the more traditional version is the supine twist from here and then dropping the legs over. So low backs tend to be too mobile. And if we start our movement from the bottom, we're finding this rotation, this twist from the low back. So what I do is just try to build in a little extra buffer for everyone. And we're gonna do what I call a 3-position side rotation. So when we start on the side and rotate the upper body, we're driving movement from the thoracic spine down instead of starting on our backs and driving it from the lumbar spine up. So from here, we're gonna be at about a 45-degree angle below 90. You can grab onto your hand, line your hand up with your knee, and then you're simply going to rotate back, take your gaze and follow that, trying to get your shoulder and your hand on the floor, and then we're gonna come back to the knee. So let's go anywhere from 3 to 5 of these rotations. So after you've done that, we're gonna come up to a 90-degree position. So instead of your knee, now it's gonna be about mid-calf. So from there to your shoulder, you're simply following that line and trying to get the shoulder blade down and then back to the calf. 3 to 5 repetitions. And then your last one, we're going to straighten the bottom leg, bring the top leg up and hook it with the bottom arm. So I have 90 degrees at the elbow. My leg is right at my wrist. So now we're going to go kind of across the thigh, or maybe your hip might make sense. And same idea. We're going to rotate back, same line on your arm, take your gaze with it. And we're trying to get your shoulder and your hand down to the floor. And then we're going to rotate back. And we're going to do that 3 to 5 times. And then we'll flip over and repeat that. So remember, keep in mind, if we move starting on our sides, upper body first, we're driving where we typically carry our tightness or our restriction, the thoracic spine. If we start on our backs and move our legs, then we're rotating the lower spine. So for those folks who have to sit for long periods of time, I just worry about low backs. So I try to manage that by pulling things out and just doing them a little bit differently so that we can keep some safety in there. So once you've gone through all of that, then you're going to go into your Shavasana or your corpse pose. And that's basically just lie back and relax. And this is just really, it's like a 3 to 5 minute window. Ideally, not thinking necessarily, but the way the brain works, sometimes it will bounce around. So as you lie back, after going through this physical activity, simply breathe, natural, regular breathing. And then if you are thinking about things, that's fine. Just allow them to come into your mind and then just gently move them away a little bit. So what we're trying to do is not sit there and think, okay, so my meeting comes on at this time. What time am I doing? As much as you can. Don't fight it. Acknowledge the words are there. Gently move them out of the way. And you're just trying to find about a 3 to 5 minute window, clearing your mind, letting it dump some of that stuff out, connecting with your body, and just kind of, I call it just sealing off the work you just did through the practice. So with our corpse pose, you're going to be on your back. Legs are going to be out, not quite a 45. Arms are going to be out, palms up, and just nice and relaxed, and just literally completely go into relaxation. And just check in with your body. See how you're feeling. Don't think about the next meeting. Don't think about the last meeting. Just try to be present with what you're feeling. After about 3 to 5 minutes to come out of this, you're going to bend both knees and then just simply roll onto your side to bring yourself up. All right, that concludes your beginner yoga routine.